welcome back for another episode of the CBSI Hot 10 show. Make sure you go over to comicbookinvest.com and check out the article where I may put a few extra tidbits and details that we don't cover here on the show tonight. And while you're at it, make sure you check out all of the content we have here on the channel. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, you hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And if you want to see this week's list, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back.
Notable sales.
And our first notable sale is a book we have seen before, but now we are seeing graded copies. This is that dog biscuit book, the one you had to do the mail away for from Milkbone to get it. This book came in a box with a box of dog biscuits, no bag, no board, so maybe 9.8s could be kind of tough, but we do have our first 9.8s hitting the market this week, as we've actually had 3 sales of this book in 9.8 that's gone. What I found interesting about this Superman of Friendship Unleashed crypto book is that while we're nearing the release of the Superman movie, just so close, a couple of weeks away, it's interesting to see how this hit an all-time high because it was the first sale, went a little bit higher, and then took a big dip. Just so I can explain, the first sale was for $500 for a 9.8, sold on the 21st. Then on the 23rd, another copy sold for about $520. And then on the 27th, just today, another copy sold, but only for $275. That's a big drop from the last book. I don't know why the drop in price, but it's definitely not a good sign for this book in the future to hold that value. I got to imagine just over a few days going from $5 to $520 to $275 isn't very encouraging for people who are investing in this book. Not that I think you should invest in dog biscuit books, but it is a fun book nonetheless. Just interesting to see, curious to see what the next one goes for, or how many more 9.8s we see come to market in the future. Because, again, don't know, but they're apparently getting them back for CGC now, and we've got some on-site graders getting them too, so who knows how many more we might see in the future. That's our first notable sale. Our next one isn't even a complete book, but we're sticking with Superman for this one because we have to acknowledge the fact that Action Comics #1 sold this week. Just the cover. Just the cover wrap. So it's got the front and the back, which is nice, but no guts. Just the cover sold for a huge number. And this was at Heritage, so you're obviously going to get your most exposure there at a high-end auction site like that. But Action Comics 1, just the cover, sold for over $400,000. Just the cover. Just the cover. $408,000. That's crazy. Another super high-end sale that I just felt worth mentioning, it's comic related, but it's not a comic, is I've been tracking this one also through Heritage, just ended this week. I've been watching this for a while, but Jock's original art for Detective 880 sold for $288,000. So this is kind of a bonus notable that I've got for you. Again, it's not a comic, it's OA. OA is a whole different animal. But just thinking of that $288,000 for the owner of the original art for that Detective 880, this classic iconic cover. And what's interesting about it is that none of this is going to the artist, Jock, because he had already sold this piece and he didn't sell it for anywhere near this amount. So just thinking that, seeing what his art could go for now, man, if I were the seller, I would think I'd have to give him a cut. He'd have to send a cut back. Now, I don't know how that works. Again, I'm not an original art collector, but with a big number like this, I think you got to give a little taste back to the artist because, man, that's a big number, $288,000. But with all that said, I don't want to belabor the point and keep lingering here on the notable stuff. We still have a Hot 10 list to get to. But before we get to it, and speaking of 10s, get yourself 10% off your BCW order. Get your bags, your boards, your long boxes, your short boxes, CGC boxes, top loaders for cards, pages for cards, basically anything to keep your comics or collectibles safe. You got to get your supplies. You might as well save yourself some money while you do it and use my code RENNA10 to save yourself 10% off your entire order. You help out the channel, you get yourself a discount on your supplies. What do you got to lose? So 10% off, use my code RENNA10. With that said, now we can get into the actual list. So just hang out for a few seconds and let's get this started.
Number 10.
At At number 10, is it finally time? Will we finally see Mephisto in some form on screen? It's possible, but still not confirmed. I have yet to watch the first 3 episodes of Riri, the Ironheart show, but I hear that they're alluding to the fact that we may finally get to see the man, the myth, who we've been waiting ever so patiently for years, apparently, for Mephisto. Silver Surfer number 3, as a result of these rumors and hopes that he's going to show up on the show, has been going up. Across the board, again, not huge volumes. This is a classic book. This is already an expensive book. So the fact that about a dozen sales is a 100% increase from the 4 or 5 sales we had last week, that's a big jump in volume. Raw averages going up only 13%, which seems like a small amount, but 13% of $264 is still a jump from, like, what was it, 220 to 260? It's still significant. And that's an average for the raws, because the raw high is 535, which is a nearly 100% jump from last week's high for a raw. This is the type of book that is kind of hard to price, and it's kind of hard to gauge because we've got all grades selling, both raw and graded. All of them move, all of them sell, and they sell for, bigger numbers. Yes, you can get a cheap lower grade one for $50. I think there was one this week, but it's pretty beat. You want to get those nicer higher grades, you're going to be paying upwards of hundreds, close to 1,000. This is one of those pricier books that you don't see often, but it sells well. And with that hope that Mephisto will finally show, it's been moving this week. Now, with that said, that's our number 10 book, kicking us off on the list, but let's see what we got next at number 9.
Number 9.
And at number 9, we have a new release this week. Looking at the cover, you're saying, what is Dr. Jelly and Mr. Peanut Butter? I don't know that comic. This is Hyde Street, number 7. One of my favorite titles going right now. One of the best reads out there right now, amongst a number of other books that I'm really enjoying. But Hyde Street is one of my favorite books to pick up and read. And this is a fun incentive. This is the 1 in 20 incentive for Hyde Street, number 7. It's a cereal box, kind of, homage, if you will. This is the first in what appears to be a series of these, as we're going to get a couple of more of these incentives looking like other cartoon character cereal boxes. So keep an eye on those. But this one, thanks to a couple of early pre-sales, has been doing well this week. So about a dozen sold, averaging about $36, hitting a high of $50 already for a 1 in 20 incentive. So doing close to double ratio on average, high sale well over double ratio. This is an interesting book and one to keep an eye on because it's a fun cover too. I kind of like it. You get that whole Count Chocula, Frankenberry kind of vibe out of it. It's a fun thing. And again, more to come, so we'll see how this goes, because this becomes one of those sets that people like to collect. It could get a little pricier in the future as more people start to chase the set. But who knows? It could also dip because people give up on chasing the set. We'll see how it goes in the future, but this is our number 9 book for now, which will take us to our next book coming in at number 8.
Number 8.
And at number 8, we have Mr. Miracle number 4. Yes, this book was on the list last week, and it has dropped a couple of spots, but it still did enough to earn a spot on the list despite dropping from 6 to 8, thanks to increases basically across the board. But those increases aren't as impressive as some of the other books we have coming up later on the list. So, Mr. Miracle number 4, Jack Kirby, first Big Barda, still kind of piggybacking on the excitement for this upcoming Miracle Man series, the animated show. This book, like I said, it's up across the board. Over 20 sold this week, which is a 37% increase on volume. Raw averages, it's only up 10%, but they're still hitting $70 on average with the high of sale of $150, which is a 15% jump from last week's high on a raw book. And this, again, is a book. There's graded sales as well. It'll sell in any grade, both raw or graded. So it's just another one of those tougher books to gauge with as far as pricing goes. So I throw some averages to give you some context. But just like the Silver Surfer book, it's just like, hey, it can't always be apples to apples, because one week we might see only low grades sell, and the next week only high grades. So it's not always the same. But still hanging on to the list at number 8, even dropping a couple of spots, is that first Big Barda, which takes us to our lucky number 7 spot next.
Number 7.
Doubly lucky, Afra is still hanging on to her spot here at number 7 with another repeat from last week. And why? Well, it's selling better. It's still selling well. So this is the Chaos Agent number 1. 1 in 25, that homage to the Catwoman book. Holden Court here at number 7. Once again, Sarah Pichelli cover. I dig it. Wish I had one. I don't. Probably not going to get one as these prices continue to rise. As you can see here, volume's up slightly, still with about 20 sold. Averages, though, are up 56% from last week to $78 on average, with a high hitting 110 for this 1 in 25, which is a 69% jump. So with these price increases, the chances of me picking one of these up get slimmer and slimmer by the day. But who knows? Maybe one day there'll be a dip and I'll find a copy that fits my price range. But for now, this is pricing me out as these prices are climbing, which is why this hangs on to its spot here at number 7. But we're not done yet. We still have the last book on the bottom half of the list to check out next here at 6.
Number 6.
So this book is an interesting case. This is one of those books that, thanks to an app alert, can move volumes. And that's what's happened here with Superman number 2, The Secret Revealed. Yes, classic John Byrne book, classic John Byrne story. But the reason this book has seen interest this week is thanks to a first appearance of a Dr. So-and-so. I don't even remember the doctor's name. He's a scientist inside this book who they confirmed will be making an appearance in the movie. But it's a minor character in an ensemble pick that this Superman seems to be. You see all the characters and superheroes that are in this book. Does the scientist character really warrant a lot of attention? Probably not, but alerts create excitement. News creates excitement. People started rushing. They clear out all the cheap copies. So with over 30 sales this week, most of them have only sold for around $4 or $5. Like, keep that in mind as well. Highs started hitting $10, but this has been just like a dollar bin book forever anyway. So the fact that it started selling and moving up in price at all is why it earns itself a spot here on the list at number 6. But long term, do we expect a lot out of this book? Probably not. But there's nothing wrong with books like this getting hot just for a week, just for fun. It gives your digging a point. So when you're out there flipping through boxes, hey, maybe you find this for $1 and maybe you can turn it for 10. Who knows? But it also might die on the vine because, again, it's not a huge character first. But still fun. With that said, that is our number 6 book here, Superman number 2, which will take us into the top half of the list, starting first with number 5.
Number 5.
All right, here at number 5, I have to admit I missed this book last week. I could have made the list with this book on there last week, but I didn't notice it until after I already finalized my list. And this is Exquisite Corpses number 1, the second print, 1 in 10 incentive copy. This was polybagged with another card, similar to the polybag versions of Exquisite Corpses. So if you're collecting those little I don't want to say trading card. It's more of a gameplay kind of card. If you're collecting those, or a little subset you're collecting, you're gonna need one of these. And as such, since it's a 1 in 10 on an incentive second print, it could be a little tougher for you to find because not a lot of shops would have ordered a lot of the second print because there were a lot of the first print out there to go through. Excellent read, by the way. I do enjoy this story quite a bit. I'm looking forward to more installments, but this second print 1 in 10, again, could have been on the list last week because over the last 2 weeks, I've seen about 30 sales consistently, probably about a dozen to 15 each week, with prices around $40 last week as well as this week, with highs hitting $50. So it's just maintained its pace from last week, which is why it still earns itself its spot on this list. It's not just a makeup call like in sports where it's like, oh, we missed that penalty, so we got a makeup call here. This is still doing well and still earns its spot here at number 5. I just wanted to point it out that I probably could have added it last week. With that said, we still have 4 more to go, so let's see what we got next.
Number 4.
Well, at number 4, we do have a classic. Yes, Frank Castle, the Punisher, will apparently be seeing some action in the new Spider-Man film. I don't know what's going on with Spider these days. I mean, it seems like he's getting all kinds of guest stars. Apparently, Hulk's going to be in it. We got Punisher 2, and then people worried about if Daredevil's going to show up. Who knows? But the fact that the Punishers are going to be showing up is big news because the Punisher's a very popular character. We got to acknowledge that first. And going to the big screen as opposed to these small screen appearances also is a big deal because we haven't seen that in some time. So with that, ASM 129 is seeing some movement this last week or so, as again, much like the Silver Surfer book, it's hard to gauge. It's no apples to apples. We've got this book selling in basically any grade. Any grade could sell, and prices are not cheap. at any grade. Like low grades are a couple $100 on this thing these days. So with that, to give you context, couple dozen sales is a lot of volume for a book of this nature because it is not cheap. So up 71% with those 24 plus sales. Overall average, and I had to do overall average because there are just as many graded sales as there are raw sales. So you take those high-end grades as well as those low-end cheapies, it all comes together, giving you a $1,500 average, which is a 27% jump from last week, which was averaging a little under 12, like 1,100 something, I think. That said, this week's big sale was a CGC 9.6 for $6,000, which is a 100% jump from last week's high sale, which I believe was a 9.2 that went for like $3K. So again, you can't do apples to apples because a 9.2 is not a 9.6, but just for context, people spent a lot more money specifically on the Punisher this week. I think the raw high I saw was a $700+ sale for what seemed to be like more of a like mid-grade book. So again, it's a big book. It sells for a lot in any grade. And with that extra volume, it earns its spot here pretty high on the list at number 4. But with that said, we still have 3 more to go. So let's see what they are.
Number 3.
I wondered what was going to happen with Riri Williams and Ironheart. I wondered if it was like, hey, the series is starting soon. Are people going to start getting interested? Do we need to see the show first? Well, the show dropped 3 episodes this week. I personally still haven't had time to watch them. I hope to get to them this weekend. I don't know how well it's going to do. Reviews have been mixed, but at the same time, I've seen a lot of reviews of people who reviewing it negatively who didn't even watch it. They're just saying they don't want to watch it. We should include reviews like that with these sites because just because you don't want to watch it, you shouldn't weigh in. Then don't. You're not part of this group. You go watch something else. That said, I don't want to argue over what her first should be. We got cameos here in number 7. This could even be seen as a second cameo because she's barely in the book, but she is in the book at issue 9. But this seems to be the book of choice for Riri Williams. So, Invincible Iron Man number 7, this Diodato cover. This one is doing well this week with about 20 sold, which is a 280% jump in volume from last week, which was just before the series dropped. So the series dropped. People started going back and grabbing this book at an average of about $36, which is where it's kind of been the last few months, thereabouts. This book used to be a monster. This used to be much more expensive. The variant is selling as well this week. I saw a raw sale of like a $150 for that B cover, the Tron variant. That thing used to be crazy. I think that was like $5K at one point for that, a 9.8 of that Tron variant, which is nuts to think about because those prices are nowhere near where they used to be. Even this week's CGC 9.8 sale of $175 is a 75% jump from last week's 9.8 sale of only $100. This also used to be this got very, very close to being a 1K book. This A cover here, I remember, was $500 easy for a while. Started getting 7, 8, and I think it almost got to 1K, but I don't remember if it ever did cross that mark or not. I have to go back. I'm just going off the cuff, off my memory, but it's a far cry from where it was one day, ages ago, what it seems like now. But still doing well. Volume's up. You can see some of those prices being up because the series dropped, and enough people did enjoy it to want to go and spend that money. So I'm looking forward to checking the show out, and I'll give you my 2 cents on TAC or one of the other shows once I do get a taste of it. So with that said, let's keep it going. We got 2 books left, and we'll be done.
Number 2.
At number 2, indie option news. Yes, the Ghost Fleet out of Dark Horse is getting optioned. It's going to be made into something. Donny Cates, Daniel Warren Johnson, like both creators here. This book with that news, I think it's coming to Paramount for something. Ghost Fleet number 1. Again, I like the Daniel Warren Johnson art here as well. Couple dozen sold. It's only averaging $10, but again, this was like a no-name book that was cover price or less before the news hit, so it brought up that average to $10 pretty quickly thanks to some recent high sales starting hitting $20, $25, and $28. So I don't know where this one's going to go. This is kind of par for the course for an indie option type of book where it goes from relative obscurity, and all of the cheap cover price $2, $3 copies clear out, and then it starts selling for $8 and then $10 and then $15, and it starts getting new high water marks, and that average starts to rise, and all of a sudden it's a $15 average next week, and the new high is $35. I don't know. It may do that, or the market might get satisfied and it just kind of lingers here at this point. Not sure where it's going to go, but it'll be interesting to watch. But Ghost Fleet, with that rush from basically nothing, no copy sold last week, so getting a couple dozen sold this week is impressive nonetheless, again, to go from nothing to something. So that's why it's got this spot here at number 2. With that said, we still got one book left, and if you want to see it, don't worry, it's coming up right now.
And our number 1.
And this week, or basically yesterday, we got news and confirmation of all of those casting rumors for Street Fighter. So Street Fighter is being made, and we're getting Jason Momoa playing Blanca. We're getting Roman Reigns playing Akuma. We've got I forget who's playing Ken. We got Chun-Li cast. All of the characters that we had a lot of rumors for were kind of confirmed and new names added. So we are getting a new Street Fighter movie, which we can only hope will do better than that Raul Julia Jean-Claude Van Damme classic from back in the day. I know it was 90s nonsense. It was still kind of fun though to go back on it, but we'll see how the new one's going to do. With that, the news is only a day old. So with that, in that day, we've seen a rush of sales on Street Fighter number 1 from the 90s. This is from Malibu. We've seen this book here before, again, from the rumors, kind of spiking it here and there a little bit. But this week, I'm curious to see by the end of the weekend where this is going to go. But nearly 30 sold already, which is a 330% increase from last week's sales. Raw's averaging about $15 for this once dollar bin digging, little book. Highs hitting 25. 9/8 sold for $125 in a week where really there wasn't a huge standout. We've had a couple of weeks like that lately. This one takes that top spot because of that huge rush in just a day. Like, this wasn't even selling anything like Tuesday. Like, this is all just based off of the recent news. So we'll see how this volume continues as the week goes on. But this is our number 1 book for the week. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, but don't go anywhere. The boys of the qualified will be starting up next right away as soon as I'm done, and I'll shut this off. They'll cover the outside looking in with some books that nearly made the list and some other books I think you need to keep an eye on in the week or so ahead. And they're also going to be covering some artists that you should know, as well as a lot of other fun segments. So they were going to take a couple of weeks off, but they only took off 1, and they are back this week with the qualified starting up right now. So with that, I will see you all later with some more content. All right, bye.